We have another question in the chat from Diego Labrada, excuse me. Their question is, do you still see a need for a vanguard party? Do you still see a need for Marxism, Leninism? That was his question.
Yes and yes. Yes and yes. Vanguard Party's only purpose, in our analysis, was to be a strong, tight force. We were a paramilitary organization. When you say I'm the chairman of the party, that means I'm in charge, okay? And I didn't play, and nobody played with me. So, you know, you'd be proud, you sisters would be proud to know how hard I was. Maybe that's another story. Yes, and the reason is because right now we don't have that kind of organizing effort here, there, and everywhere. We're broken up by space, by you know, just by the fact that the country is so damn big. And we did not have a chapter in Arizona. I thought we had something in Arizona. We actually had a chapter in places like, I mean, I was amazed, like Nebraska, but then I thought, okay, Omaha, Malcolm X, I kind of got that. I mean, we had chapters in places I didn't know Black people even lived. But we never had anything in Arizona. I checked on it today, and we didn't. So it might have been too white at the time, but now Black people, more and more Blacks or whatever. But I think it's a need for a vanguard party for people to really make a decision that I am committed to this work 24 hours a day. Now, maybe you can't do it 24 hours a day, but in other words, that is your sole focus. As your focus is the liberation of Black people. I attempted to resurrect such an organization here in Oakland, but I cannot tell you how trifling people can be when it comes to their time. They have now dedicated themselves to whatever irrelevant lives they're living, and that's what I think of it, most of them. You know, well, I have to go here and do this. Well, okay, right, but you can't put any time into creating any kind of program. So what happens is, if you can find a core of people that can act as a vanguard, that can begin to make a move, then you can have broad-based groups that you interact with. But if you've got a strong agenda and you can build up your agenda, then I think it's necessary. But I also think that it's necessary that we do not get involved in the questions of violence and nonviolence. We are living in a society that was built on violence and rape of our people. And we have to be able to and be willing and get back to the question of self-defense in a very organized fashion, not one where we're going to die every day over this, but that's all part of it. And so that vanguard party has to set the example, has to organize the people. So I do believe in it, and I'm absolutely a communist with a small c. There's no way in hell. I'm not standing for the flag. I don't have nothing to do with the capitalist structure here. You got banking, every single one of these things, including the vaccines that Bill Gates and Melissa Gates have distributed. 9 of the pharmaceutical companies that are the biggest ones, their foundation is invested in. And most of the ones that have turned out the coronavirus vaccine they all in Africa, helping the little Africans in the bush with polio or with some other thing that they claim they're doing. There's something like we have to be able to undo. There's so many avenues, so many things we got to do. But if we can stay focused on our people, and we certainly want to ally ourselves and not allies like, oh, white people are here to help me. White people are not going to help you. They need to be directed, if anything. But if they're there because of themselves, not because they think they're helping you, but because they're there, then you begin to organize bit by bit. So I do think that, and I believe in it, and I tried to do it here in Oakland, but it was a failure. It was a failure because these people are not willing to put in time. Here I am, older than everybody that I was dealing with, much older, and they did not want to put in the time. So I think that if you can get a group of people that are ready to get down, they're ready to be disciplined, they're ready to get out into the street or out into the community or whatever, then I absolutely think there's a need to have an organizing body that will begin to bring everybody in under one agenda, and that agenda is liberation.
Thank you, Sister Elaine Brown. We appreciate that one. And so we just kind of had a question about like some of your, and just general, some of your thoughts as well too, on holding folks accountable in organizing spaces when they cause harm to another organizer or another community member. We know a lot of the times conflict comes up, and like a lot of us consider ourselves abolitionist organizations and don't want to just cancel people and throw them away and just be done with them. But like when real harm gets caused, how do we handle like accountability and conflict? it's just a little bit of beef sometimes over on this end, but you know, like how do we have those important conversations with each other and build?
You guys are very nice. I'm gonna just tell you this. In the Black Panther Party, for good or ill, in those early days especially, we had corporal punishment. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Now people if you would be absolutely shocked at the stuff that we did and didn't do. But let's just say you're a guy, I'm gonna use an example. Guys on watch, and we had to be on watch all the time. Now you're on there cleaning a shotgun while you're on watch and you shoot your dumb ass in the foot, okay? This is something that we're going to come down very hard on you. Why? Because you had a duty to not bring attention to the fact that we have guns in the building that you're supposed to be protecting. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you shot yourself. Now we have to figure out how to take care of you. When you go to the hospital with a gunshot wound, what's going to happen? The police will show up. So look at all the things that you just did. Now, we wouldn't even let you go to the hospital half the time. Oh, you shot yourself? So we had what we called, under Maoist theory, criticism and self-criticism. Now, it's not easy to have criticism and self-criticism, but everybody got to buy into the rules. And you do have to have some rules about how you want to operate and function. So, for example, you cannot go, like we said, you can't steal, as Mao said, these are Mao's rules. We used everything we could. You can't steal from the people. I know you're not involved in robbing somebody's house in the community, because we're gonna have to beat your ass for that. Now that's just a simple truth. And we might do it in front of the community so everybody gets the drill. And here's what your recourse is. You can leave town. That's it. That's it. And I will tell you the truth, and this is a true story, and I can say this on the recording because I don't have, there's a whole lot of reasons why there wouldn't be any problem with this for me. But we had a sister back in the day in the party who was raped by some brother from the neighborhood. And the reason we did it because she had an African name that we only knew her African name, but he called her by her government slave name. So we knew it was somebody who knew her before this. And we searched the community, and we searched by some rough methodologies, let me put it like that. And we were able to uncover this person, and we dragged him into the street and held trial right then and there. And it didn't last long, guilty. So, and we really, what we call mud holding back in the day. I don't know if that's a term anybody knows today. But we did it openly in the street, and we let everyone in that community know this is what happens to rapists. So there are things like this that you have to deal with. And sometimes you got to be pretty rough. You can't come up here and be like, I had a guy working with us on the farm, and we had a farmer who was our main farmer. She was a master gardener. She wasn't formally incarcerated, but she was organizing our farm. And this brother called her a black bitch. I said, oh, you call somebody a black bitch for real? I said, call me a black bitch. So it goes like that, okay? So sometimes you have to be serious, and you can't mess around with people and just have discussion about why did you say it? I don't care why you said it. What happened to you? Do you feel bad about it? It's like, I don't care. There are things you violate, you have to be checked. If you can't be checked, you have to be put out. That's the end of it. But if you keep on allowing, you can't be what Mao called liberal. Liberalism can't be allowed. Why? Because for the sake of peace and friendship, you don't want to destroy the friendship. Well, I don't have any permanent friends or permanent enemies. I have permanent principles. If you are my friend for 30 years and you go out here and I find out that you've been informing on our people, that'll end that friendship just like that. It didn't take but a second. And that's how you have to think. What are our principles? What are the things that matter to your group? That if you're operating on these revolutionary principles and somebody's violating it, by insulting us, by not being a comrade. I had a brother walk up to me when I took over the reins of the party and actually say these words, I hear we can't call them bitches no more. I was like, no, we cannot call them bitches no more. But you know what I'm saying? So we have rules and we have things that are principles that we have to live by. And if people are not willing to be guided by that, then they can't be in the group because they will disrupt the group. The COINTELPRO program was about disruptors. It was about people coming. William O'Neill, I don't want to talk about that movie. William O'Neill came into the party as an FBI agent, interloper, and an informant, William O'Neill started a whole program of disciplining people that were suspected of being snitches. Now think about it for a minute. Here he was, the biggest one, started creating all this havoc. So, but nobody examined it because he was from the streets, so they figured, okay, he's fine, yada, yada. So what I'm saying to you is, be careful of, wolves in sheep's clothing. Be careful. That's not to be paranoid, because you don't want to be paranoid and say, well, what did she say? What did he say? Well, I didn't hear. Where did he go? I don't know. You don't want to go down that path, because that's another pathway to divide you. But when people do something wrong, the easiest way is to sit in a circle in a group and say, we're going to criticize you. You can defend yourself. We're going to have self-criticism. I can criticize me. If I can stand here and tell you that I admit that there was a time when I didn't even acknowledge that I was Black, you know how long it took, how hard it was for me to write that sentence in my book? It was hard as hell. Hard as hell. So you have to have criticism and self-criticism. Look here, brother. Look here, sister, comrade. You did this. It's a total violation. Do you not understand there's a violation? And then if we have to talk all damn night, then that's what we're going to do, until you come to some agreement or get there stepping.